When I was little, my father was famous. He was the greatest samurai in the empire.
Hey everybody, my name is Jerry Williams, aka Greater Sapien. Thanks for stopping by. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2020. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I don't have anything planned. Well, real plans. I don't have anything scripted out. I just took some clips from things on Twitter and things online that caught my eye today as I was going through the day, and I'm just going to talk about it a little bit here. So I'll pull it up when I have some visual for you to see. Like, for example, all my notes are probably going to pop up right around here. I'll do it in post. Hopefully it's there right now. So right off the bat, today is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and according to the White House schedule, President Trump has nothing on his public schedule to honor Martin Luther King. Of course not. Of course this president doesn't have anything on his schedule. Why would he? That's honoring someone other than himself. Why would he do that? If you don't already know by now, I can't stand President Trump. I think he's a deplorable human being, as are all people who support him. Sorry, that is my opinion. But of course he didn't choose to cover any of that today. What did he choose to talk about? Let's pop over to his Twitter and see what he chose to talk about. Now, I'm going to do some editing in here. I'm doing all this kind of live. I'm going to edit out all the little noise and mistakes that I make on the way. Let me just flip over here. Let's see what he talked about, and you'll get an understanding why I cannot stand this man. So, all the way back to the beginning of today. Here we go. Started off with, let's see. Oh, he's talking about how Virginia is going to be taking away your Second Amendment rights, which is a lie. So that's what he decided to start his day with. Vote Republican 2020. He didn't start off with anything about Martin Luther King because that would be about somebody else. His first thing of the day was Vote Republican 2020. Good for him. Let's see. Next, he lies and says that the Democrats didn't want John Bolton and others during the House impeachment hearing. It's not true. They did actually ask for him to be to interview and testify, and the White House blocked it. So he's lying there. Third one of the day. Let's see. The third one of the day was about crying Chuck Schumer. So he mocked Chuck Schumer in his third one of the day. And in his fourth tweet of the day, he retweeted the Second Amendment protesters singing the Star Spangled Banner. This is what he felt was the most important things to talk about today on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then the fourth thing he did, here he goes. He actually gets, he retweets something from the White House Twitter, which means it was posted by someone else, and it talks about Martin Luther King. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Then, not too long after that, he tweets USA, USA, USA. Yeah, this is our guy. Then he talks about Schiff. Then he talks about Mike Bloomberg. Then he talks about how strong the Republicans are. Then he insults Nancy Pelosi. Boy, he's really getting into the Martin Luther King spirit. Then he talks about the stock market. Well, he retweets himself talking about the stock market. By the way, a couple of these are retweets of himself from several days ago. He's retweeting himself from several days ago. This is your president. Let's see. Then he insults the Washington Post. And then he retweets himself from a few days ago saying he has a 51% approval rating. Now, the reason he says it's a 51% approval rating is because he says you can add 7 to 10% on all Trump numbers. That's him retweeting his own poll numbers on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then he congratulates himself, talking about his own inauguration, but it just so happens to be that, so he decides to lump it in with African American unemployment being the lowest in the history of the country, which it is. Doesn't mean they're good jobs, but it is low, and that's really good. I can't say that there's anything that he has done for African American unemployment other than letting the trend of decreasing African American unemployment continue. I tell you, please, someone tell me what he has done for African American unemployment. You can say that it's gone down, but you can't tell me what he's actually done. No one has yet to do that. Now, if you look at the chart of unemployment from, say, Bush era all the way to here, you can see that in the Obama era, African unemployment was going down as well. And if you laid down a trend line, you would see that it's just a continuation of that trend line. There's no obvious thing that this president has done. And that's how it is for unemployment all the way across the board. Even the stock market, though it has been going up, it's been going up steady for years. The trend line is there. And if you look at it, the trend line shows that it was going up at a nice steady pace, record numbers with Obama, leveled off during the uncertainty of all the election stuff. So for about 8 months or so there, it was kind of level, just kind of staying in the same spot. And then once the election was over, start going back on its normal curve, matching the same curve as before. So please tell me, what has Trump done for African American unemployment or to increase the stock market? What has he actively done other than more or less just letting it do what it does? No one's yet to tell me that. Let's see. Then he goes on to talk about the Second Amendment once again, because that's, the important thing to talk about today. Then let's see. These are what recommendations. It goes on to insult Nancy Pelosi. And then he touts a poll about himself, saying that most Republicans support him. Duh. There we go. And let's see, he retweets, and then this is just a few minutes ago, he's retweeting, responding to someone saying something good about him. This is what he's about. Now he's going on to Switzerland because that's fine. He can go ahead and do that. But it's funny how most of the things he talked about today were just self-aggrandizing things, especially this bit about how 93% of Republicans oppose the Senate impeachment. Of course they do. They're Republicans. The Republican Party is a cult now. It's a cult of Trump. And so, of course, they support him. But majority of Americans have been polled, and they actually want him to be out of office. 51%. Now, he'll tout a poll that says that less than that, but there are polls that say otherwise. So he picks and chooses what he wants. So that's what he chose to do today. That amazing president we have. More than anything, he talked about the Second Amendment thing going on here, which is interesting. This wonderful protest that's going on in Virginia in support of the Second Amendment, because Virginia is supposedly attacking the Second Amendment, which they are not doing. You have these G.I. Joe cosplayers here out there looking like a bunch of fools. When I first see this, my first thought was, oh, is this the new Space Force and their new Space Force uniforms? Have you guys seen that? The Space Force camouflage? What's up with that? And they're trying to claim that it's a efficiency, like, oh, we don't have to design new uniforms just by using this camo. No, you don't have to design new uniforms. Just use the same pattern and just do it in plain freaking colors. You don't need to have camo for goddamn Space Force, you fucking morons. What the fuck? That's just asinine. Let's not even talk about the fact that you guys are doing a Space Force. I'm a supporter of space programs. That is not a problem. But the idea that you guys are coming up with a new military division for a threat that does not exist, and then at the same time claiming we don't have money to spend on important things for regular citizens, what the fuck? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're just playing with toys and ignoring the needs of the American people. Go fuck yourself. But back to these tool bags. Look at them. They're walking around in their camo and their assault weapons, acting like they're something other than what they are, which is a bunch of losers. I look at this and I think, oh, so this is what Klan people wear when they go out in the daytime, other than the regular uniforms. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. All these people aren't racist, and you're right. They're not. You will find some black people in here. Probably about 6. And you will see them over and over again. I bet tomorrow when you see footage of this, there's going to be interviews with black people, probably 3 or 4 black people, and you will see the same ones over and over again in the same clips, because they won't find anybody else. The same people over and over again. Women, you'll have some women doing some interviews, and it'll be the same women over and over again, because there are very few women and there are very few black people here. Now, black people are in support of the Second Amendment. I happen to support the Second Amendment. It's an interesting thing. Me and my son, we differ on Second Amendment, because he's of the younger generation. He's 14 years old, and he's like, wouldn't you just get rid of all guns if you could? And I'm like, no, because I believe guns are necessary for self-defense. All this assault weapon nonsense is a bunch of cowardly people who think the world is after them. But I have no problem with people owning handguns. They don't need to have a ton of ammunition. They don't need to have clips that can shoot 25 rounds or whatever the standard size is. Some of you probably just started laughing because you're like, Jerry thinks that a clip holds 25 rounds. Don't fucking care. I don't care. But you don't need to have large ammunition clips for self-defense. You don't, unless you're fucking with people that you shouldn't be fucking with. Then you need to defend yourself from those people. But for home defense, no, you can have a standard handgun with this, regular 12 round, 15 round clip or whatever it is, and that's it. You don't need large capacity magazines. It's not necessary. So there should be regulation on those. I have no problem with gun control. And most people believe in gun control. Second Amendment people believe in gun control. They just try to use it as if it's something bad, but the fact is, everyone believes in gun control. It's just a matter of where we draw the line. We're just arguing about where to draw the line. So when people say, I'm against gun control, no, you're not. Stop fucking lying. You completely believe in gun control. Because if it was back in the day of the Black Panther movement, you'd be the first people saying you should take the guns away from those folks, for one. If there was a modern Black Panther movement would say Arab Americans who were worried about threats to their own communities and started arming themselves and walking around and policing their own streets, all of a sudden there would be some gun control needed. There would be some background checks that needed to happen to make sure those people didn't get those guns. So don't tell me you don't believe in gun control. You just don't believe in gun control for certain type of people. Let's put it that way. And yes, I do think there's a lot of racism involved, not necessarily with the Second Amendment, but with people who are heavy in the Second Amendment. And that's the reason why you don't get a lot of black people in these types of marches. It's not that black people don't support the Second Amendment. It's we know that our agendas as black people don't necessarily jibe with the agendas of the other people at the Second Amendment rallies. Yes, there are Confederate flags there. Go fuck yourselves, losers. There shouldn't be Confederate flags there. If you're just about the Second Amendment, the fuck with the Confederate flags. You want black people to show their faces, get rid of those goddamn Confederate flags. You goddamn losers. So one reason I believe you don't get a lot of black people with these types of rallies is because we know that the people involved in these rallies have other agendas that go beyond the Second Amendment. And those never jibe with the needs of minorities in this country. They'll say, we want minorities to be able to have guns because, it's hard to oppress a people that's armed, and that's very true. And that's why a lot of black people and minorities will have guns, and that's why one of the reasons why the Black Panther movement had guns. But beyond the need for self-defense, Second Amendment people go even more so into their militia groups, which tend to be about special types of people and certain people who have better rights than other people and certain people who shouldn't be in this country. And that all of a sudden doesn't quite comport with the self-protection needs of black people and other minorities in this country. That's why you don't get a lot of minority representation in these Second Amendment rallies. Not because we don't believe in the Second Amendment. I happen to believe in the Second Amendment. But I don't believe in what these people believe. And most likely, they don't share what I believe. For example, I bet there are a lot of police in there. A lot of police. Which is, you notice there's not a lot of police presence around this. I bet if we looked, there was more police presence around the Women's March than there was this march. Because a lot of police support these guys. So there's probably a lot of police out of uniform with masks on in there supporting these guys. And their agenda doesn't necessarily jive with my agenda. I don't think all cops are bad people. I don't think most cops are bad people. but there is a threat of them. There is a strain of cop that is bad, and their agendas do not fit with the minorities community. Their agenda fits more in line with the part of the prison industrial complex that is the direct descendant of slavery, that has never been about the rights of minorities in this country. It's been about perpetuating the second-class citizenship of minorities in this country. There are far too many police officers whose mindset is completely in line with that, and they are in these rallies. And black and brown people understand this, which is why you don't see very many of us here. You just don't. And apparently, the type of law that's being passed in Virginia is not one that's really threatening the Second Amendment for these fools. Let's see. Supposedly, there's going to be, I guess, more stringent background checks. I'm looking at a list here that I have here. We have a limit on the number of handgun purchases per month. Boy, that's a terrible thing. Let's see. Communities can ban guns from specific events and venues. Sounds good to me. And police can take guns from those deemed a risk to others. And that's probably the one that they have the most problem with. And I can understand they're concerned with, say, a slippery slope there. But still, if someone has committed a crime or has been has a restraining order against them, or is pending a trial, or has just gotten released from prison for a violent crime, domestic violence, anything like that, and they own weapons, I have no problem with their weapons being taken from them. And I still would consider myself a supporter of the Second Amendment. I don't think that's a horrible infringement of your right to bear arms. It's not. I mean, I like it, but I don't have a problem with it. And this guy with the gun control is Jim Crow sign, the fuck? This dude right here. Hold on, let me make this bigger. This dude right here. The fuck is that? You know what this is? This is a person who doesn't have any black friends. Because if this guy had black friends and mentioned that shit to them, they would have checked him. Said, no, don't do that sign. Fuck that. I understand you're trying to make a point. I understand that you feel this is real important. But if you got any black friends, they have failed you. They should have checked you on that shit. I don't play that. Sorry about that, son. Anyway, that's why we don't fuck with these motherfuckers. All right, let me move on to something else. What else do I have here? Oh, yeah, so the New York Times editorial board has picked Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren for the Democratic primary. If you're going to pick two people, why pick anybody? That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care who the New York Times picks. I don't know if anybody actually cares who the New York Times picks. But if you're going to pick somebody, just pick one person. And then stick by it. Especially when you have two people who, I mean, I'm sorry, Klobuchar and Warren, they clash a lot. Their views are not in line with each other. So I guess the editorial board, their views are not in line with each other. And they were split down the middle in terms of the people they wanted to pick. And so they decided to shoot for the middle and pick two people. The hell is that? That just seems useless. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I think Biden would have liked to have and these pictures. I'm sorry, I'm looking at these photos. This picture of Biden is cracking me up. Okay. So Biden would have liked to have this endorsement. That's the kind of thing that he's the type of mainstream old school government guy that thinks this is a big deal to have this type of endorsement. Warren, I think, is glad she's got the endorsement, but I don't think it actually is going to help her at all because I don't think she needs it. Her people, I don't care. I'm a supporter of Elizabeth Warren. She's my first pick, but I don't care if she was picked by the freaking editorial board. New York Times editorial board doesn't mean shit to me. Bernie doesn't care. Bernie doesn't fucking care about the New York Times. He's happy that they didn't pick him. But I'm sure Steyer, Buttigieg, who else was running? I don't know who else was running over there. Any of them would have really liked to have this endorsement. I think Klobuchar is really happy. That might, she was down enough in the polls that this might give her a little bit of lift. So I'm sure she's quite happy about it. I'm sure Elizabeth Warren will, she'll take it, she'll tout it, but it's not going to affect her much at all. Biden would have loved it. Yang would have loved it. And this picture, I'm sorry, look at this picture of Yang. This is, I've said this before to my wife. One of the biggest problems I have with Yang is that dude needs to learn how to hold his head. Okay, far too often, and they have a shot of it right here. This is the problem I have with him. Far too often, there'll be a debate going on, and everyone's doing their thing, and then they cut to him to ask him a question, and he's just like, got this lazy neck going on, like he's about to fall asleep, and it just caught him, and he's froze in the mid, back nod there. And so it's a terrible look. It's just terrible kind of lazy posture thing he does. It's superficial, but God damn, it bugs me. And they caught it in this picture. That's fucking Yang right there. So anyway, New York Times editorial board picking Klobuchar and Warren. Who cares? Who really cares? I don't. Let's see. Next on. Oh, speaking of Bernie and not caring, a couple things. One, this here, Bernie saying that he doesn't tolerate bullshit terribly well. There's a clip of him. His interview with the New York Times editorial board, and people are interpreting as they wish. I happen to like Bernie. He's not my first pick, but I feel for him in this clip. I think I'm gonna try to play it if I have it here. Let me see if I can. Here it is.
Look, I don't tolerate bullshit terribly well, and I come from a different background than a lot of other people who run the country. I'm not good at backslapping. I'm not good at pleasantries. If you have your birthday, I'm not going to call you up to congratulate you, say you love me and you write nice things about me. That's not what I do. Never have. And I take that as a little bit of a criticism, self-criticism. I've been amazed at how many people respond to, "Happy birthday! Oh, Bernie, thanks so much for calling."
Love the look on their faces.
It's just not my style. I try to stay focused on the important issues facing working families in this country, and I fight for them. Look,
okay, so it's being thrown around by people who support him and people who don't support him, as it being indicative of something. Hey, I have no problem with that clip, and if I was his people, I'd be putting it around as well. So honestly, I understand it. I'm just not into that kind of thing. I have a hard time with those little pleasantries. And so when he says he has a low tolerance for bullshit, I get it. I feel it. So I don't have a problem with it. But I can see, just looking at the faces of the people on this editorial board, okay, yeah, they don't like this guy. Of course he's not going to get their endorsement. He's not going to sit there and, say nice things about him just to get their love. And so you can tell he doesn't care. He doesn't care. So more power to you, Bernie. You're not my first guy. Hey, if you get the nomination, I'll totally support you. I will push. I will hit the freaking streets and make sure that you get elected. I got nothing against you. You're just not my first pick. But I feel you on that one right there. I feel you on that. Truly do. And so the other Bernie clip though is this sad bit of him and. It's really, truly, truly unfortunate. The tweet is, just put the tweet up there. And it's true. It's really quite unfortunate. Let's take a look at this. Oh, look at stuff. Oh my God, what is he doing? What is it? What is he doing? Look, I get it. I get it. Your hands are cold. I get it. Your hands are cold, dude. You want to move, but your hands are cold. But see, sister right here, this right here, she knows what she's doing. She's like, look, you want to keep your hands cold, keep your hands warm. You want to keep your hands warm? Clap. That's what you do. You want to keep your hands cold, warm? Clap. Just clap, and your hands will warm up, man. Just keep the rhythm. You can do that instead of this chicken dance that Steyer's doing with. Hey, I can give him this much. At least Steyer's not biting his bottom lip. All right. At least my man's not biting his bottom lip, because that would have been pretty bad. And Bernie just come on. He just doesn't have it. And it's just not in him. This is him trying. This is his low tolerance for bullshit showing. He's trying, but he can't do it. He just doesn't have it in him, and that's too bad. But it's it's a great clip though. I would say something about white people, not being able to dance, but hey, it's just a girl right here. She's got the rhythm going. She knows what she's doing. So this is just lame white dudes kind of thing. That's not a white people thing. It's a lame white dudes kind of thing. So there you go. So, hate to see it though. So what else? Some other clips I saw today. I think popped in my mind. Okay, this here. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and this is, I think, an important as the fact that Nichelle Nichols was quitting the show, and she met with Martin Luther King, and he convinced her to stay on the show. That is incredibly important. The fact, hey, I don't think we would have the blurs that we have today. We would not have the black nerds that we have today if it wasn't for Nichelle Nichols. We wouldn't exist. She opened that road for science fiction of black people existing in the future for the rest for us to aspire to. And so the fact that she stayed on that show, and then that she did what she did in recruiting for the space program and sciences, we black nerds worldwide owe her a debt of gratitude, and owe Martin Luther King a debt of gratitude for that encouragement. So I think that's why I bring this up. I just happen to see this, and I think it's really important. And it coincidentally today maybe they started doing it last night, but today I started watching Deep Space Nine on BBC America. Deep Space Nine happens to be my favorite Star Trek series, only partly because of they have a black commander as the lead. But one thing that I found striking when I love the show, followed it for a long time, and I saw an interview with Avery Brooks talking about why he took the role. And it's not like it's like, hey, I'm a big science fiction fan, this and that, but he said that he thought it was important for people to see that brown people will still be around in 300 years. He understood the importance of that. Whether it was this case, it was Star Trek, it could have been something else, but it was a role that he understood. And it was just a role, but he understood that there's powerful imagery and showing people that black people, brown people will still be around and still be doing, positive things and contributing to just like everyone else in 300 years. And the fact that it wasn't important that he was black, it wasn't something that became, it was called out a lot. It wasn't just like, as a black captain, no. He's just there doing what he does, and he just happens to be a brown person, and that was really important to him. That it wasn't a pivotal part of all of his motivation that he was black. He was just a person doing what he needed to do, and I thought that was, and that's a direct consequence of Nichelle Nichols and Martin Luther King. Love that show. Mainly because, like I say, he had a strong black man as a lead. Baddest captain, toughest captain of all of them. Sorry, you may like your Kirks, you may like your Picards, you may like your Janeways and Archers, whatever, but Sisko was the baddest motherfucker. All of them could whoop their ass at any time. Just like he was a diplomat, but he was a strong man at the same time. A strong man that loved his family, was not afraid to show affection in public to his son, which I thought was incredibly important because I'm that way. I have a 14-year-old, same age as Jake Sisko now, and we have a lot of the same relationship. It was funny watching Deep Space Nine today because there's a lot of the same relationship stuff going on, and so I don't know if Deep Space Nine affected me that much that I actually act that way, or if I saw something in it and that's why I attached to it so much. But the way I act with my son is very much the same way as the Siskos interact. I put my hand on his shoulder, I put my hand on the back of his neck, I pull him close and I talk to him. He understands the affection I have for him on a regular basis, positive feedback. I'm not the type of man that tries to buck up and say we don't show affection, we don't lay our hands on each other because we're men. No, my son knows I love him, and we're mammals. We need to have that kind of physical contact as human beings, and I show that with my relationship with my son, and that's one of the most important things that I think the Cisco's showed on that show was a strong bond between a black man and his son. Incredibly important. Nowhere else on TV was that happening, and that did it for me. So thank you, Avery Brooks. Thank you, Nichelle Nichols, and thank you, Martin Luther King, for that. Okay, moving on. Some stuff less important, because honestly, anything less is less important when it comes to this stuff. You know, my relationship with my son, black man's relationship with his son is more important than all this, but we shall move on. Next on my list, look at this here. The report that Lev Parnas has handed over tapes of Trump and Giuliani to the House Intelligence Committee. This is why they don't want to have witnesses in this committee, in this impeachment, which will begin tomorrow. The rules are going to come down tomorrow, so we're going to learn more about it. But this is why they don't want to have witnesses, and this is why Nancy Pelosi held off as long as she did, because she knew more stuff would be coming. It always is. But the fact that there are tapes just cracks me up. Of course there are tapes. You're a bunch of shady motherfuckers. You guys are just, I have no real respect for Lev Parnas. I really don't. I'm not one of those people who's like, yeah, he's a hero. No, he's a fucking criminal. But he's a criminal who's covering his ass. And so he was taking notes. He was keeping shit because he knows he was dealing with some shady motherfuckers, and he might need to cover his ass at some point. And that's what he did. But whenever I see new things coming out, like that fact that he was taking notes and the fact that he has tapes, it makes me think of this one bit of from The Wire. This clip right here, this little GIF I have, and it just makes me think of it. And it's true. It's like, why are you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? Why are you? Of course they were, though. Of course they were, because we'd be in big trouble if criminals were geniuses. If these guys were fucking Lex Luthor, we would be dead. But they're not. They're fucking morons. They're fucking losers. But they're losers who are covering their ass. In this case, they're useful losers. But yeah, fuck Lev Parnas. But hey, thank you very much. We'll take any information you have. Taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy. Dumb motherfuckers. Anything else here? Oh, do I even want to talk about the fact that Kellyanne Conway was saying that Martin Luther King would oppose impeaching Trump? Fuck you. Stop it. Stop invoking frickin' Martin Luther King to wrap yourself around. No, stop it. Come on. It's some bullshit. Same thing with all you Bernie bros out there. I like me some Bernie, but you guys need to stop comparing him to Martin. Just stop it. Just stop that shit. You're right there with that Jim Crow Second Amendment gun control thing. No, stop it. Stop it. Talk to some black people before you say dumb shit like this. If you're Kellyanne Conway can't talk to black people. No, they walk away from her. They understand that. But anybody, if you Bernie bros, if you want to say something that has to do with Martin Luther King, with black experience, with racial injustice, having to do with Bernie, talk to a black person first before you say it. It goes a long way. And that kind of just actually dovetails right into this last bit. Yeah, here we go. So white rapper gets punched for using the N-word. Okay, I have the link here, so let me see if I can find this link. So here's the situation. White rapper gets punched for using the N-word is the tweet, and here's the video.
Put your team on the map. I leave everybody hanging over your shoulder still. I can old school bump them with the shoulder still or shoulder still. Box him up. You want the David Blaine or the Holyfield? Either way. Either way.
What else?
Be tragic at the end. David Blaine, Holyfield. So I got magic in his hands. I ain't like these other battle rappers. They talk too much. Saying I can't use the N-word in this battle. My nigga, I just call you.
Okay. So, all right, look. Obviously, people are, see, it's part of his verse that they say I can't say the N-word in this battle, and then he says it. So obviously, someone's already mentioned it to him. All right. So he should have just taken that as a signal. He should have just taken that as a signal. Now, look, it's a battle rap. Technically, things are supposed to be, there's not supposed to be any limits on these kind of things, but there kind of is anyway. There's some shit you just don't say. Now, this guy, now the guy shouldn't have hit him. I mean, I don't know if he should have hit him or not, but because you're not supposed to lay your hands on people. But part of the problem is the guy was laying down pretty good, insult, and the guy was probably just, in his feels about it. So he was using that as an out because some of his lines were actually pretty good there. So he was probably just feeling it, wanted to get out of it. But at the same time, the man shouldn't have used the word. Look, we got his buddies here. I'm going to turn the sound off so I can play it while talking over it. So man's got his boys protecting him here, and so he says it right about here. He's gonna say it. Boom. The guy goes at him, and then his people, they start jumping in. Hey, now I think this fool was about to reach for something, but they all start jumping in to protect him, and I get that. That's your boy. You got to protect him, but that's your boy. You should have told him what was up. Okay, I understand you got his back now, but if you really want to have his back, you got to tell him. It's like, you know what? We give you a pass on that. You could say the N-word to me, to us, because you're our boy. But just because you can say it to us doesn't mean you can say it to them. Just because we don't punish you doesn't mean somebody else ain't gonna punish you. And they should have told him that. He should know that. He's a grown-ass man. He should know that. So it's another situation is you got to talk to your people. You got black friends, man. They should have told you. They had your back here, but they had your back after the fact. They should have had your back before the fact and told you, don't say that shit. Thing is, someone did. They already had this conversation. It's in his verse. He's like, they say I can't say the N-word in this battle. And then he says it. That's on you, man. You already been told. Why you gonna do that? And I'm sorry, people think it's a double standard or something like that. Yeah, it's a double fucking standard. That's the way things work. It's just a standard. There's some things I cannot say to other people. It's the way it goes. Hey, I have freedom of speech. I just don't have freedom from consequences. So you can say it if you want, but you just have to be willing to face the consequences. I don't know who it was. Was it Jay Smooth or something that was used the example of, a woman can call their best friend a bitch. My wife's best friend can call her a bitch, and they can do that all they want. I try to step in and call one of them a bitch. I'm going to be in trouble. Freedom of speech, yeah, I can say what I want, but there's going to be consequences for me saying that. So I need to understand that that's not something I can say. That's just the way it goes. I understand this white dude usually gets a pass from his boys about what he can and can't do, but you're not just with your boys anymore. You're with other people. And his boys, if they had his back, they should have had his back first. They should have had his back before the fact and kept him from doing that. And that's why you got hit in the mouth. It's going to keep happening. It's probably happened before. So unless he wants it to keep happening, he needs to change that shit up. That's just the way it goes. Or he can just plan on getting hit. Anyway, that's the last of the notes I have here. I don't even know how long this thing is. I'm going to edit this thing together. Whoa, it's 45 minutes long? Damn. Okay, we're going to chop this thing up because this went on far longer than I expected to. I was just rambling there. So I'm going to chop this up, edit it, get it up online for you guys to watch. If you want to hear more opinions of mine, see more videos, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the little bell there so you can get a reminder. I'm going to be putting videos up at least 2-3 times a week, more on a regular basis. I still have my standard Greater Sapien channel, which I will be doing longer form kind of science-based videos, hopefully on a more regular basis starting soon. I'm editing some stuff right now. But for nearly daily slices of my life, this is the channel to come to, aka Greater Sapien. Please subscribe. I'll see you soon. Take care.
That's my job. That's what I do. I don't lose. I win. I win. Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Maybe you came by to congratulate me on last night's victory.